It's Wednesday, August 27th.
If we're going to defend and advance our values of freedom, of democracy and peace, Canada must do so from a position of strength.
Prime Minister Mark Carney is visiting with Canadian troops in Latvia this morning after extending our country's military mission there by 3 years.
It's much harder to build another one of the, another TMX somewhere.
The head of Trans Mountain is pumping the brakes on building a new pipeline, saying the focus should be on getting the most out of the one we already have.
Yeah, it looks like mass. The big green area aft of the bridge.
A pair of medical emergencies on a cruise ship required crews from Canada and the U.S. to work together on a double extraction.
Focus, class is canceled, get out of here. We gotta go. We need time to process this information.
Okay, so Swifties around the world still processing the big news. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are now engaged. Stay with us, Canada. Your morning starts right now. Welcome to your morning, everybody. Anne-Marie's away this week. I'm Lindsey Deluce.
And therefore, I'm Teddy Wilson. Good morning. Happy Wednesday.
Yeah.
Happy to have you, Teddy. I'm
Good,
Kelce
thank you.
McEwen.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Do we say Happy Hump Day? Is that cool?
You have a name for every day. Do you have a name for Monday or Tuesday?
I didn't come up with that. What's that?
You didn't come up with that one?
No, I don't have a name for Monday or Tuesday, but I do maintain that Tuesday is my least favorite day of the week.
And why is that?
Very quickly, because Monday you can talk about what you did on the weekend, so that's the thing. Wednesday you can talk about the fact that, it's Hump Day, we got to get through it. Thursday is Friday Eve. Friday is Friday. The weekend is the weekend. What do you got on Tuesday other than cheap movies? Nothing.
So you haven't put any thought into this?
None at all. I got some time on my hands.
I know, and Kelce and I always say the same thing. The worst day of the week is Thursday.
Thursday. I do not understand that. We'll have to dive into that later.
In the commercial break.
I have so many questions. It is inaccurate. Okay, let's turn to the top news stories we're following this morning. A meeting between Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic, LeBlanc and U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick is now being called constructive. This as trade talks continue.
This is very important to reset the stage, unlock the negotiations, and hopefully come to a good place between the two countries.
The meeting with Lutnick lasted 90 minutes, which was longer than scheduled, but it's still not known whether the countries are any closer to a deal. Ottawa continues to look for relief from U.S. tariffs on key Canadian sectors, including steel and aluminum. The meeting comes after Canada dropped some retaliatory tariffs on some U.S. products, including oranges, alcohol, motorcycles, and cosmetics. The CEO of Trans Mountain is not in a rush to build another pipeline.
Optimize the kit that you have, which you can do in steps over time, and then add capacity as it's needed. And then you have time to evaluate the bigger issue, which is, do you need another pipeline somewhere?
Speaking with CTV News chief political correspondent Vashi Kapelos, Mark Mackey said Ottawa should focus on maximizing capacity before approving new pipeline projects. In 2018, Ottawa bought the Trans Mountain pipeline for $4.5 billion. It then spent $34 billion to expand it. Right now, the TMX operates at about 85% capacity. Ottawa is expected to start making announcements on approved nation-building infrastructure projects, which may include pipelines in the fall. Prime Minister Mark Carney remains in Latvia today, capping off his trip to Europe by visiting our Canadian troops.
If we want a safer world, we need a stronger Canada. And so it's the service of the women and men behind me and those that they represent. It's their service and sacrifice that makes Canada strong.
Carney extended the Canadian military mission in Latvia by 3 years to 2029 in an effort to deter further Russian aggression in Europe. Carney's office says there are now 2,000 Canadian Armed Forces troops in Latvia as part of Operation Reassurance, which is Canada's largest overseas mission.
The government of Canada just told me that we got your back. You're here now, the extension has been in place. That gives me an opportunity to work on my number one task, which is interoperability, which allows me to achieve the defense task that I have, which contributes to the strategic mission of deterrence.
And Canadian troops have been in Latvia since 2017 to strengthen the defense of Europe's eastern flank and to deter Russia from invading Baltic countries. Colonel Christopher Reeves said they do need some additional equipment to help in their mission, including better aerial systems, including drones. Well, a fire crew from Ontario is bringing some much-needed relief to firefighters in Nova Scotia today, who have been working tirelessly to gain control of the Long Lake fire.
Even though it may not be described as extreme in terms of large flames and the volumes of smoke we saw on Sunday, it's still burning very intensely and deep in the ground.
A 20-person Ontario crew will replace the crew from Nova Scotia. An incident management team also coming from Ontario to give that team a well-deserved break. The Department of Natural Resources says the Long Lake wildfire, which first started on August 13th, has now advanced along both sides of Paradise Lake, despite some rain on Monday. There are 6 other wildfires burning in the province, but they are all under control.
It was very sad that the forests were closed, and now my children and I were very excited.
And in New Brunswick, trails and parks are slowly reopening after most restrictions on Crown lands were removed. The City of Moncton says all of its municipal parks and trails are now open. The City of Miramichi has reopened designated ATV trails. But in St. John, the city's trail systems are still closed. The St. John Fire Chief calling it the safest option right now because the woods are still extremely dry. New Brunswick burn ban does remain in effect. There are 12 active wildfires in the province, with 2 out of control. Canada's Air Force and the U.S. Coast Guard pulled off a double extraction from a cruise ship sailing off Vancouver Island.
Having the Royal Canadians with us out there made it operate way smoother than if we hadn't had them.
Some incredible footage. The ship was sailing south of Tofino on Sunday when it reported 2 separate medical emergencies, both requiring an emergency extraction. The U.S. Coast Guard first lifted a 99-year-old passenger from the deck. A Canadian helicopter then transported a 52-year-old woman who suffered a cardiac arrest. Both patients were flown to hospital in critical condition. The RAF and U.S. Coast Guard say cooperation was critical in pulling off the mission. Well, not sure if you've heard. You probably have. You definitely have. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce broke a bit of news yesterday.
It's sobering. Take a look at that thing. You can go blind if you look straight into it if the sun hits it in the right way.
The pop and NFL superstars announced their engagement with a social media post that says, I love this, your English teacher and your gym teacher are getting married. The post also included pictures of Kelce popping the question, the happy couple celebrating, and an engagement ring perhaps worth the GDP of many countries. As of this morning, the post has more than 27 million likes. According to Kelce's dad, his son actually proposed about 2 weeks ago in Missouri, or Missouri, as they call it there. No word yet on date and location of the big day, but I'm sure we'll all be invited. Well, if you were looking for fall in August, it's here, my friends, because the pumpkin spice latte has already returned to Starbucks. Is it still too early? Depends on who you ask. I say it's never too early. Most store shelves also being filled up with fall and Halloween items. The pumpkin spice latte is Starbucks' most popular seasonal beverage, with hundreds of millions sold since its launch in 2003.